In this webinar, we're going to be giving a broad overview to all things Division 19, as well as military psychology. I am your Student Affairs Committee Chair. My name is Angela Legner, and I will be taking you through a portion of the webinar, followed by my fellow Student Affairs Committee Chair members, Kevin O'Leary, who is our Chair Select, and then also Jeremy Jinkerson, who is our Virtual Projects Officer. Basically, I'm just going to be taking you through what our division does, our mission, and then how we conduct business, and then some of our committees, including our governance. And then we'll also be going through a little bit of how students can compete and prepare for VA internships, because we understand a lot of our students are interested in pursuing VA internships, and we also know that they're very competitive. And then we'll be going through opportunities for going active duty, including HPSP scholarships, internships, and then what happens after grad school. And then we'll be going over how to start your own student chapter on campus, opportunities to get involved on campus, basically, through Division 19, along with some other opportunities you can get involved with the division, including leadership roles, and then also participating in the APA convention. So what do we do? We are one of the original charters. We were established in 1945, and so we're one of the older divisions, and our membership is quite diverse. It includes not only active duty, but also civilians. It includes researchers, clinical psychologists, all involved in various areas of military psychology. I know some of our, actually our XCOM members are researchers, and they have actually more of an industrial organizational background. Our mission is really threefold in terms of what we stand for and what we really try to convey to our membership. And first and foremost, it's to advance the science and practice of psychology within military organizations, also to foster professional development of psychologists and other professional interests in the psychological study of the military through education, research, and training. Our organization is made up of our executive committee. The XCOM is comprised of the voting members. Now, our president-elect and our past president, they all serve for a period of 3 years. What they do is they serve, so the president will serve 1 year, and then he'll step down to past president, and the president-elect steps up to the president. So there is always someone that will transition. So our standing committees, which can also be found in the bylaws, the Fellows Committee, the Awards Committee, and then of course down the line, and of course, most importantly, the Student Affairs Committee. And on the Student Affairs Committee, we actually follow the president's model very closely. So we have the chair position follows the president. We have the chair select and then also the past chair. And then this year we actually added several new positions. So we added a virtual projects officer position, and then we added 2 regional rep positions, more of which we'll talk about a little bit later. How do we conduct business? The executive committee meets twice a year. They meet once in what we call the annual mid-year meeting. This is where most of our business is transacted. So anything that the division needs to get done, any of the committees need votes on, this needs to get done during the mid-year meeting. In addition to that, the Student Affairs Committee, of course, they submit their report. The chair is usually there, a past chair, and then in recent years we've even had the chair select available for to present as well. And then there's the annual APA convention meeting. This is definitely more of a formality. It's only an hour-long meeting, and this is a meeting that's more for the membership. And awards are given out during this meeting, and then the president also gives their presidential address. So at this time, I'm going to actually turn it over to Kevin O'Leary, who's our chair select.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Kevin O'Leary, Student Affairs Committee Chair Select. I'm going to talk a bit about different ways in which you can join Division 19. So any student can join the division. You'll be joining as a student affiliate, which is a non-voting position. Student affiliates can be graduate, undergraduate, or high school students, and they are not required to be APA student affiliates. More than welcome. Dues are only $10 a year, and this also includes a subscription to military psychology. One of the benefits to being a student member is that if you are a member during the year that you graduate, you are granted member status, whichever way you choose, for the next year at no cost. Once you graduate, you move on to early career psychologist, and so there you can be a full member, or an associate member, or international member. Early career psychologists are psychologists within the first 10 years of their career. And if you want to be a full member, it requires an APA membership. There's actually a early career psychologist listserv and a grouping of resources for early career psychologists that are made available to you when you join. And full membership costs $27 for the year, and also includes the subscription to military psychologists. This here shows a map of our East Coast campus reps. We have campus reps at various universities all across the country. These are students who are showing interest in studying military psychology and have formed groups on their campus. They are varying in sizes and oftentimes engage in outreach events, whether it's through already existing programs or creating their own. They have speaker series. They serve as their school's liaison. This map here, as I said before, it shows the East Coast campus reps. We have them all up and down the coast. A full listing of all of our campus groups can be found on our website. But this map shows you that they are located from New Hampshire all the way down to Florida. And this is the East Coast grouping of representatives, and they fall under the purview of the chair select. We have another member of our team. This is Central Region campus representative, and they are in charge of the campus groups, central area of the United States. Um, we have them ranging from all the way up in North Dakota to all the way down in Mississippi. And the last grouping is the West Coast. We have West Coast campus groups in California, Oregon, Colorado, Oklahoma, and Texas, and they are all under the purview of our West Coast campus. We're now going to spend some time talking about our suggestions for competing for practicum within the VA system. Above all else, the best advice we can give to you is to be a good trainee. Most of the VA medical centers and hospitals that have training programs are there to train generalists, and they're very interested in recruiting people who are able and interested in receiving training, working with an adult population. This is a listing of our top suggestions in terms of what you should be talking about and how you should be presenting yourself when you go to interview and when you write your cover letters. Most importantly is being able to talk about what you've learned so far in your practicum experience. They're not looking for you to be a full clinician or even an intern, but they tend not to be entry level positions. They're usually looking for people who have at least done the first year of practicum training or beyond. Some of them may require a master's degree. So make sure you can talk about what you have learned so far, talk about your clinical work and how you approach therapy. It's very important that you can at least describe one trauma case that you've worked and how you treated that person, how you conceptualized it, how you planned your interventions. If you used a manualized treatment, you can talk about what that experience was like. And then they're also going to be looking for things like your experience with substance abuse, your experience, if you have inpatient experience, couples counseling, sort of family therapy work, and then kind of just all the generalist skills that you've accrued over your time in practicum and the cases that can represent that. Diversity continues to play a large role in our clinical work, exception to that, and being able to talk about how you approached diversity in your work, whether it's something major in terms of differences in ethnicity, race, religion, culture, or something smaller around different, being someone who's from a different region or state, or even talking about working with the veteran population as a whole. And since the VA is a training facility, our training programs, they're going to be really interested in how working as a practicum student with them is going to help you reach your goals. Be very explicit about how the specific site is going to be. If you have an interest in working with the military, make sure you're there to express that and talk about that. If you don't, that's perfectly fine. I've worked with plenty of people who have been into practicum who don't really have a particular interest in working with the military or veterans, but are there to receive training working with adult populations. It's very important to know yourself personally and clinically in terms of what are you interested in clinical work, whether that's assessment, whether that's therapy. Know yourself personally in terms of how you train, how you handle supervision, what you like about supervision, what works for you, what doesn't, and how you handle just the stressors of. It's very important that you're able to express the passion that's guiding you through this process. If you have a particular passion in working with veterans or with a specific facet of working with veterans, Um, this can be they're always very interested in hearing that. Be able to articulate yourself. The VA is always looking for people with leadership service experience, whether that's community service, outreach experience, leadership positions that could be within Division 19. It could be a part of your school work that you do. But VA clinicians tend to be very independent, but also working as part of professional teams. And if you are interested in a career in VA, or be able to talk about that, be able to articulate what's brought you to that point, because this tends to be a specialty population, we believe that obtaining some degree of specialty training and knowledge is going to be important. Above all else, learn about military psychology. Military is its own culture group, and that. Learn how to treat and what the common presenting problems are for this population. It's important that if you're able to get experience before the VA, that could be working from any sort of source, but anything that's related to military will be helpful. If you don't have that, be able to talk about how the skills develop, help contribute to your skills. We do have a quite a lengthy book list on the Division 19 website for the student website. A lot of those I found to be on the bookshelves of many psychologists that I work with. If you're able to talk about reading those, talk about how they affected your work, or how you view your career goals, what you'd like to get out of this practicum. There are a lot of specialty training courses. You see them over here on the right side of your screen. These could be specialty training courses on military culture, on specific interventions and treatments, a whole host of different things. The more you're able to talk about what you learned from those, that you've taken, that you have the interest and are putting the effort into learning about this population, there you go. A lot of those are listed online at our website. Additionally, if your school offers any courses in trauma, the treatment of substance abuse, cognitive behavioral therapy, psychodynamic therapy, make sure you're taking those. If you can, the more face time you can get with service members, better chance you're getting a practicum. If you're doing, you have the option at your school to conduct research with service members, that's going to go a very long way. If you want to do your dissertation with service members, make sure you talk about that. If you have access to service members at your current practicum, try and get access to them. One of the important things that you can do to set yourself up above other candidates is make sure that you're attending state, regional, and national conventions. And while you're there, making sure that you can network with various directors of training or the staff psychologists who might be at the VAs that you're training at. I have a few friends who were actually able to get their VA internships because they were able to network with the training directors. Here's a listing of the VA's rolled out evidence-based practices, and then the free manuals or the online training sites that how to use them, an introduction to them. Obviously, these are not going to make you, they're not going to provide you with provider status, or nor would they substitute for VA-sponsored trainings. But participating in these, taking them, going through the manuals actually sets you up pretty well in terms of being able to talk about trauma work, how you do therapy, what you're interested in learning about at the VA, and kind of give you an edge over some of the people who haven't taken this. A lot of VAs are moving almost exclusively to use these, especially ones like CBTI, prolonged exposure, CBT. Those are going to be very, very forward. The more experience you have with it, the better off. A few of these the VA has rolled out. I haven't had much experience been able to use them. Cognitive behavioral conjoint therapy. I've seen some CBT, but not as much as the VA's website is actually fairly misleading. They actually only list 6 practicum sites: San Francisco, Danville, Ohio, Hines VA Medical Center, Bedford, Boston, Battle Creek, Minneapolis. I know that there are many more beyond these ones, so make sure that you are aware of what your school has connections with, but also making sure that you're contacting VAs if they offer any. You should also be open to exploring the vet centers in your area. These are the community-based outpatient health clinics that do a lot of outreach, a lot of benefit coordination, and a lot of psychotherapy. Some of them may have psychologists who are primarily staffed with master's level clinicians, but they can also be a really good resource for clinical training. And if you are interested in creating one at a local VA, creating a practicum, you need to be advised that it will likely take over a year to complete. A lot of paperwork, probably a lot of headaches. So if you're interested, have staff who are willing to sponsor it, seek it out. Just be advised that it's probably going to. Just an overview of the VA system as a whole. Most of the practicum and internships are within the larger VA medical centers and offer some of the best training out there in a wide variety of tracks, including general outpatient clinic, post-traumatic stress disorder clinics, substance abuse, including outpatient and inpatient substance abuse, general psychiatric inpatient units, geropsychology, and quite extensive work in assessment. Oftentimes they involve interprofessional teams, working alongside psychiatrists, nurses, social workers, family therapists, couples therapists, and so being able to talk about your interest in working with other members of the mental health professional and any sort of team-based work that you, or history with team-based work that you can talk about, will set you up fairly well. The vet center system is a separate system that was actually started by Vietnam veterans in the 80s who formed what were called RAP groups, where they would get together outside of the VA system and meet in their community and kind of conduct their own group therapy. Eventually, it got so big that the VA adopted it, but kept its separateness. And they're primarily responsible for a lot of community-based outreach, individual psychotherapy, family work. They specifically will only treat veterans who are combat veterans. So if they've been in deployment, have boots on the ground, are MST survivors, and then they also do very extensive work with families who have recently lost a soldier to active duty or suicide. The other kind of arm of the VA system is the community-based outpatient clinics. These are going to be primarily primary care facilities that often work as kind of satellite offices. And so for every one major VA hospital, there can be 3, 4, 5, 6 of these CBOCs. And oftentimes they do a lot of telemental health from these, and there might be rotations or areas and part of your practicum to go out to these. And we're going to move on now to active duty careers and internships. Pass it along to Jeremy Jenkins.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I do want to say that to those of you who are interested in VA careers and VA training, and I know that's a number of you, I'd highly recommend that you take heed to this information that we've compiled, and especially getting it from Kevin, because he's someone who's had practicum both at the VA and the Vet Center and is setting himself well up for a career. I'm excited to be speaking with you today about active duty careers and internships because it's something that I hold close to my heart because I'm embarking on an active duty career very shortly. There's 5 primary ways to enter an active duty career in psychology. Those are the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences, or USUS, the Health Profession Scholarship Program, internships, postdoctoral fellowships, or a direct accession. Regarding Uniformed Services University, if you're watching this, either you're already a student there, or maybe it's too late for you to take this route, or maybe perhaps you're an undergraduate student or considering making a transfer, or you're a master's student and you're looking at a PhD program. Well, if that's the case, here's what you need to know. The Uniformed Services University admits a highly select few candidates from each service and civilian students each year. They have a highly regarded clinical psychology PhD program. You've probably read about it in the Monitor because it's doing incredible work, especially with regard to integrated care with nurses. There's also a medical psychology PhD program that is strictly research. But if you're not looking at a clinical career and you are looking at an uniform career, that's a great option for you, especially for the services that do have those research designated billets. In all of these situations, to be accepted as a student here indicates that you are going to be going into the military or continuing your military career upon graduation because you will have a service commitment. Now, for those non-civilian students, this is one of those unusual and excellent situations where you're able to continue to be in uniform while you further your education. The Health Profession Scholarship Program is a great option for a lot of us, especially those of us who are already in graduate school. It's a highly competitive opportunity to seek a military commission directly from one of the branches, and it offers some pretty impressive awards. The first is a full tuition reimbursement, not reimbursement, but payment at your school from the moment the scholarship takes effect until your graduation. It's also going to cover all your fees and will repay your books. On top of that, there's a monthly stipend, which at present is little more than $2,100. Based on the service that accepts you and you commission into, there's a post internship or post licensure commitment of 2 to 4 years. The process is intense. It takes a good deal of time to apply, and for most of the cycles, the branch's application cycles, you're going to be applying in the October to January timeframe, and you want to have your stuff together well in advance of October. So, for instance, if you're looking at applying next year, you can contact a recruiter as soon as you're able, but you definitely want to be trying to do that in spring so you have your application looking great in the summer and then into the fall. So, as I said, contact a recruiter and they'll set up a lot of different things for you to do. This will actually be the same or a similar process as if you're looking at an internship or a postdoctoral fellowship, and to some degree even for that direct accession. But you contact a recruiter, they'll screen you for a couple rule out medical problems, and then you have lots of forms to sign, a background check. You go to MEPS, you send in the normal stuff like your transcripts and your diplomas. You do have to get letters of recommendation. That's going to be 3 to 5. Some recruiters and services are going to be looking at 5. And the major piece of your application is going to be some particular essay questions, which vary by service. After they take a look at you, you will have an interview, which could be in the November to maybe even February timeframe. That could be by phone or in person. And then a board comprised of service members from that service is going to review your application. All right. The Army's highly competitive. It offers 1-year scholarships and 2-year scholarships. Regardless of which one you get, after you graduate, you're going to owe 3 years service. That says post-graduation, but I also have information that suggests that the service commitment kicks in after license. So that may be different based upon the year, how they're running that, so you want to verify that with your recruiter. And if you're selected, that does not guarantee an active duty internship. Navy HPSP works a little bit differently, also highly competitive, but it's a 4-year scholarship. So if you're in a 5-year program, you're going to apply during your first year, and then the scholarship will kick in that second year, with the 4th year of the scholarship being internship or your 5th year. After internship, there's a 3-year service commitment. And one of the really cool things about Navy HPSP is that these naval students tend to do their internships at Portsmouth, along with the USHA students. It's APA accredited, but it doesn't participate in APIC. So what that means is you'll do an interview with that site where you're expected that you're going to be going, but you're able to get an APA accredited internship without participating in the match. The Air Force HPSP program is not available this year. It is very competitive as well, and that says 2-year scholarship, but that's a change from how I had it. It's actually a 3-year scholarship where there's 2 years academic and then 1 year internship. So you'd be applying over the second year of a 5-year doctoral program when the program is available, and then it'll kick in that 3rd year. Or sometimes it is possible to apply the 3rd year and try to get it that same 3rd year to kick in upon receipt. After internship, there's a 3-year service commitment, so not upon graduation or licensure, but upon internship. And again, selection does not guarantee an internship. But for all of these, as in Army and Air Force, an APA accredited program and internship are necessary. So these are only available for APA students. All right. There's a number of internships available for each of the services, and if these participate in APIC with the exception of Portsmouth. And if selected to one of these internships, or if you match to one of them, then you do have a service commitment following completion of the internship. It varies a little bit by service branch and by year, but typically looking at 3 to 4 years post-internship. And the main thing to notice here is the Army has 5 available, the Navy has 2 that participate in APIC, and then the Air Force has 3. And just like the rest of these, to apply, contact your recruiter. You can easily find them online. All right. Benefits, generally speaking, are excellent. There's officer pay as an O3, which is a captain in the Army and the Air Force, and the Navy is a lieutenant. Housing and food allowances that aren't taxable. Excellent medical and dental benefits for yourself and your family. A really unusual amount of days off when compared to a civilian population. Great training, and upon completion of the service commitment, eligibility for a loan repayment program. So whether you get in with internship or HPSP or a postdoctoral fellowship, you can be looking at that loan repayment to cover some of your existing debt. And that's with signing on to an additional service commitment. There's additional $5,000 a year once you license, and an additional $1,000 to $6,000 a year if you're able to board certify. But that, of course, varies by year and branch. And the same with retention bonuses. These things change year to year, but at present they're available in most services. And once you're in with the internship or HPSP, then there's opportunities to compete for active duty fellowships within the branches to further specialize. So I didn't mention, it seems, the Navy Fellowship or Direct Ascension, but those are available as well. The Navy, and as of just a little bit of time ago, the Army as well, each have fellowships available, and postdoctoral fellowships available in clinical psychology. So these would be for individuals who have already completed internship and are looking for that postdoctoral training. It's just an additional way that you can get into that active duty career. And then a final one is for licensed psychologists. If there's any licensed psychologists out there, they can contact a recruiter. What's available for a licensed psychologist tends to be a possible signing bonus. And again, they can be looking at loan repayment as well if they end up signing up for a second commitment. All right, I'd like to shift gears here and tell you just a little bit about our Division 19 campus groups and how you can participate with those. So we do have this incredible thing, this student chapter network. So Kevin was telling you earlier about where all of our campus representatives are located. Basically, there's a program where you or someone at your school can be identified as a campus representative of Division 19. And they're a recognized officer in our leadership structure who serves as a liaison between the division and the school. They're a relay station as far as passing information up and down the chain. On their campuses, they're service matter experts with regard to our division and military psychology. They represent our mission, our ideals, our values, and generally try to make sure that the voice of military psychology is heard and spoken on their campuses. So if you'd like to be a campus rep, and there's not one at your school presently, you can find application materials on division19students.org. But an aspirational goal of the campus representative program is to start campus chapters. So these campus chapters of Division 19 are groups that meet because they share a common interest in military psychology, be that clinical or research, service, leadership, or otherwise. But the point is that they're able to get together and actively participate in activities that matter to them. Be that receiving guest speakers to learn about clinical training, be that to serve together, or be that primarily to increase awareness about what military psychology does on their campus. That's an avenue for them to do that. And an officially recognized one that we support. And the Student Chapter Network takes that one step further by allowing our campus reps to be in touch with one another, seeing ourselves as experts to our own campuses, but as ambassadors who can use successful examples to inform other chapters. So let's say you're a campus rep or you want to be one, and you'd like to develop a campus chapter, but you just don't know how. The first thing I want to recommend that you do is take a look at your student group handbook. That's available on our website, division19students.org. It was created by Lieutenant Jen Berry, Captain Dave Berry of the Army, and it is an incredible resource that will explain to you some of the things that you can do. The main things are: have a partner, have somebody who's going to be willing to do this with you, have a faculty advisor. We don't recommend you start a military psychology group without faculty support. So get that advisor, make sure you have that support on your campus. If there's different things you've got to do to be official on your campus, we'd love you to do that and love to support you. But for the most part, we'd just like to encourage you to do what works on your campus and even take a look at some of the roles and responsibilities that are in that campus rep application. some of those aspirational ideas are going to give you additional ideas as to what you can do on your campus. So after taking a look at what you're already aware that your campus needs, we're going to provide great mentorship for you through your regional reps. Okay, we're going to ask you to take a look at what's already there at your campus as far as veterans groups or other groups that you can interface with, such as APAGS or PsyChi. And check in with your students and see what it is that they want. If you have people who are doing this work with you, it's great to recognize them with an office. As far as campus-based offices, different groups do different things, and you're allowed to do that. Establish additional offices as your campus has need and as you have people who are willing and able to fill those roles. One thing that my campus group had a lot of success in is holding different sorts of events. And I'd like to say that if you're thinking about holding an event and you think it's kind of scary and what would you do, rest easy, it's not that bad. And if you're thinking, oh man, hosting an event would actually be really easy, well, maybe not as easy as you think, which is why I've just got a couple recommendations for you for things that have worked for my campus chapter and some other chapters, or at the very least, just some things to think about. Again, you want to check in with your students and see what they're coming to Div 19 for, what they're getting out of this. But in addition, be sure that beyond giving your students what they're asking for, that you give them these additional things that they need, like an emphasis on military culture, like the requisite competencies of a VA or an active duty career, or any clinical career that's going to involve treating veterans, active duty, family, spouses. And additionally, I want to make sure people are getting exposed to the various aspects of military psychology, so even beyond clinical, into what some of the research avenues are, or operational psychology. But the way I tend to think about it is, if you have a topic that people want and you can find a presenter, then you're just looking at when and where you're going to do it. But finding a presenter can be tough from time to time, and so a lot of times it's great to look outside of your university's faculty and see if any of your students within their existing networks have access to some people who can train you in the areas that interest you. You'll find that they probably do. If not, it's all right to cold contact people and see if they'll present to your group. But for the most part, a lot of times, especially if you're not paying people, then you're limited in terms of topics by the access to presenters that you have. As far as venues and dates, basically what it amounts to is it can be harder than it seems. I try to make sure that I'm staying away from holidays and from major sporting events and just from any other major events. So a lot of times finding when you're going to do something can be difficult. You just want to make sure that you put some thought into that. Advertising, it matters, and don't skip it. A lot of times, if you're doing something physically, flyers can work really well. We do the same thing for our virtual presentations. But you really don't want to neglect word of mouth, because especially in an on-campus situation, you're not going to get much better than students telling each other they're going to something and it's going to be valuable to them. If you want a bigger event, you can invite other chapters. That's worked well for some of our campus groups, and also consider whether you want to do a virtual platform or not. It's helpful to do that because sometimes you can bring in more people, those who really can't make it to your physical event. But it's not probably a great idea to have all your meetings virtually, because then sometimes people who could have made it physically won't show up. And sometimes there's not really a replacement for doing business physically. All right, with that, I'd like to sign out. It's been good to speak with you today. I want to throw it back to Angela, who's going to share with you about volunteering. She'll talk some about APA convention. She'll tell you about some Division 19 benefits, and she'll finish up with sharing a little bit with you about our newly updated website. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeremy, for that great overview. As Jeremy mentioned, I'm actually going to be going through volunteering. And the reason why we chose to spend some time talking about volunteering in the military community is because our students often ask us, what are some ways that we can get involved with the military community? How can we gain exposure? Especially for students that have had no prior experience, either because they never served, or because they never worked with that population. So I've often told students, or often recommended students, volunteer with some of the organizations that work directly with military families, veterans, and I'll actually be going through that some of the organizations in the next slide. But these are great ways to interface with this community and to give back. Just on a personal level, getting out there, meeting military families, and showing your support for them, especially for a community that is typically pretty unique in terms of it's a subculture. It's they have their own language, and if you don't know the language, and if you haven't had a lot of experience with that culture, until you're able to get more experience with that, it's going to be kind of hard working with them. So some of the organizations that I would personally recommend, of course, officially, I have to say, because I'm representing Division 19, we don't endorse these organizations, but I've had personal experience with some of these organizations that I'm going to talk about, especially with Fisher House, Gibbon Hour, and they have great opportunities for students to get involved and to meet military families in the community. Fisher House, I've actually worked with in the local DC area, and for the Fisher House, I don't know if most people don't really know about the Fisher House, but what they do is it's a nonprofit organization, and they actually build homes. They raise money, the organization foundation, build homes that are located on or near medical facilities and bases, military bases, for any veterans or family members to stay at while they're either visiting family members in the hospital or they're receiving services at the hospital. And these are places they're free of charge, absolutely free. They're similar to Ronald McDonald houses, but just for military and military families. And they're operated on strictly upon donations. So definitely any type of donations is welcome. And I've often encouraged students to, they'll always take food donations. You can organize a dinner. I've often contacted the house manager directly, coordinated a dinner, bought groceries, we made dinner for a house guest. That's certainly one thing you can do. And it really makes a difference. It's a small gesture, makes a big difference. And it gives you a chance to interact with people that are staying there. Give an Hour is also another really great organization. We have actually a link to Give an Hour on our website, division19students.org. And we often send Give an Hour trainings, webinar trainings, through our listserv when they come out. Give an Hour is another nonprofit organization that their main focus is on educating clinicians, increasing their competency to work with veterans, to work with service members, to educate them, to just to train them on how to recognize the nuances of military culture and the language and the organizational structure and things like that goes with the military culture. And they have a lot of different trainings on their websites for students, and then also a lot of their focus is on education for licensed professionals. Now, a lot of the opportunities that they have for students right now are more for the training piece. They do have volunteer opportunities that come up in local areas for any type of events. It's more so for students to kind of help spread the word of Give an Hour. The USO is another great organization. Every major airport has a USO, and you can certainly go visit or talk to your local USO for any types of events. They're always looking for donations, always looking for greeters. Great way to get involved. I know there's a lot of our Division 19 student chapters have often reached out to USOs for donations to see what types of things they could donate. Another great way to interface with veterans. I would strongly encourage all of our students, even if you do have that prior experience, either you've served or you have family that are affiliated with the military in some capacity. It's just a great way to give back. I know myself, I'm a Navy veteran, but I still, no matter what, I still try to volunteer as much as I can. Our annual APA convention, and we often encourage our students to get involved with, if they can. We as a Student Affairs Committee do recognize that it is difficult for financial reasons for our students to attend the APA convention. It can be expensive for traveling, for sure. I know something we didn't necessarily discuss in this webinar was our travel awards. Certainly we have information on our Division 19 Students.org website, but we do offer annually 12 travel awards to help offset the cost of attending the APA convention. Highly encourage any of our students to go. It's a great chance to network, to meet professionals in the field, especially the Division 19 community, because it's a great group of professionals that are more than willing to spend the time to get to know some of our students. So In addition to the regular APA convention programming, there is also our suite programming for Division 19. So we've been doing this for the past couple of years, holding our own suite programming, and it's a chance for any presenters that didn't get a chance to participate in the bigger APA convention programming to be able to present in our suite. So we offer presentations in our suite that take place every day. Then every night we have social mixers. We also offer several different things for students to get involved in. This last convention in Toronto, we had an internship preparation workshop, which was actually put on by our early career psychologist committee, and that was a great success. We also had a VA panel in which we had a VA psychologist actually sit down and talk to us about what she looks for in students and what makes a successful student. I know Kevin talked a little bit about that before in the webinar. And then also socializing. That's a big thing for networking. And that's a lot of what goes on at the convention. I talked a little bit about this before in our governance, but we also have our annual business meeting. And this also takes place during the convention. Our current president gives his presidential address. We do our award ceremony. The social hour, Division 19 social hour, is usually a really big hit every year. It's usually the talk of the convention, and they definitely put out a great spread. So it's definitely something we encourage our students, even our first-time students, Division 19 students, to attend, because they can certainly benefit from that. And then, of course, our informal student social events. Every night during the convention, of course, jam-packed during the day with different programming and just non-stop all day. And then as soon as evening hits, we hit the town, and so we certainly encourage our students to attend our social events, kick back, relax, meet fellow students, collaborate, and a lot of really great friendships, professional relationships can be forged through these social events. I strongly encourage everyone to check out our website. We spent a great deal of time putting together this website for our students, and it really was our vision to be, for this website to be a one-stop shop for everything student affairs related, but also military psychology related. And we strongly encourage students to visit the website. Certainly, students can send us emails at the Division 19 student rep email, but most likely we're going to refer you to the website anyway, because we have a lot of information on that website. Some of what we have to offer on our website: research announcements. We definitely want to help students with their research. So if any students that have graduate research that's been IRB approved, if they would like to send the recruitment announcements to us, in addition to sending out the announcements via the listserv, we can post it for them to our website. So we have a page for that. We have an extensive list of training opportunities. I know Kevin and Jeremy both mention that, and definitely a lot of different opportunities available, in addition to information on the HPSP scholarship program, and then also the internship programs for the VA, for the active duty. And then something we've included this year is our spotlight on Division 19 students. The Student Affairs Committee certainly recognizes that our students are an integral part of the division, and we want to recognize our students for all the stellar work that they're doing on behalf of the division and furthering the Division 19 and military psychology mission. So we've actually spotlighted some of our campus representatives this year. We actually will be continuing to recognize students, so definitely stay tuned for announcements on that. And then we also have up-to-date information, as I mentioned before, on our travel awards when the applications for those are due. How to submit the applications themselves can be downloaded from our website. Any events, the APA convention. We actually have a special page for, during the convention time, a list of our social events, a list of our Division 19 programming can be found on our website, and any other opportunities that come up. Any trainings throughout the year. I mentioned before, Given Hour does trainings online, and any other types of webinar trainings. We certainly post those. And then any type of webinars we do. Our Student Affairs Committee has tried very hard to provide our students with just a wide range of opportunities. And we're certainly looking for ways to increase those opportunities, those benefits to our students. But I think you can at least see here, we definitely have opportunities for networking. It's a great benefit for our students, especially at the convention. We have our formal and informal mentoring programs. A program that we launched this year was our HPSP Mentorship Match program. More information about that can be found on our website. And then also we send out announcements about that via the listserv. And then we also have opportunities for our students to become leaders. Definitely we recognize, as students in psychology, it's better to start now gaining those leadership skills. So once you're graduated, once you become a psychologist, you've already started to, well, I shouldn't say started, but gotten to that point where you've fine-tuned and honed into your leadership role and honed your leadership skills. So through our campus rep program, we offer student leadership opportunities, certainly through our Student Affairs Committee program, through the new positions that we've included in our Student Affairs Committee. We've opened up more leadership opportunities. We have our webinar program that we launched this year. Is an added benefit for our students. We're always including trainings on our listserv and then also on our website for our students. Most of them are free because we do recognize the students are on a budget. So we definitely push out the free ones. But then sometimes we also include inexpensive trainings. And then access to our listservs, which is the Division 19 student listserv, and then also the main listserv, the Division 19 listserv. Opportunities to publish via our military psychology newsletter. Any student is welcome to submit their research. And then also through our scholarly journal, the Military Psychology Journal. Students are welcome to publish through that as well. Our Student Travel Awards, as I mentioned before, that is an annual award program. We offer 12 awards of $750. Any student that is a member of Division 19 is eligible to participate in that award program. We also offer student members opportunities to participate in our Research Grant Award, and we offer 2 $1,500 awards every year with an additional opportunity for a $750 award to attend an APA convention to present on their research. And then we have had writing contests in the past, which several of our students have actually won. And they have been actually published in the Military Psychology newsletter. And then, of course, we have our student website, which is dedicated solely to the students. And it's a great resource for us. And of course, that has been our one-stop shop for everything. So we're certainly looking for ways to improve upon the website. We welcome students' feedback always. Definitely, if you see ways that we can improve, if you'd like to see additional information on the website, send us an email. We would love to hear from you. We would also like to hear compliments. We certainly appreciate any type of feedback from our students. Thank you, and I hope you've enjoyed this webinar.